Hi, and welcome to Simply Sarah, where we take the seemingly difficult and simplify it for your everyday life. Today, we're talking about something that most people think is pretty hard, called eating free, so eating vegan-friendly and gluten-friendly foods. So what we're making today, to show you that gluten-friendly foods and vegan-friendly foods can be healthy and delicious, we're making flourless chocolate cakes with chocolate-covered strawberries in them, and some black bean hummus. And we're also going to introduce you to some beautiful chocolate almond milk today. So stay tuned for all of that. So for the cake, because most cakes require eggs, in the case of vegans, you can use bananas as a substitute. And what we're doing right now is we're mashing up the bananas, 6 to be exact, because that's how many eggs you need. So it's 1 banana per egg that you would have used in the recipe. So we're substituting. The reason you use bananas is because they're just as high in protein as an egg. So the proteins will bake similarly to the way the egg does in the mixture. And while I'm mashing these bananas, we also have some chocolate over there on a double boiler. Some dark chocolate, which is vegan friendly because there is no milk involved. We have that melting down. I should actually turn down the heat of that while I'm thinking about it. We have that boiling down, and in a minute we're gonna add our margarine to it, which we're using in place of butter because once again it's dairy free, so it is vegan friendly. Once all of that settles, we will be making a cake. Crazy, right? So while we're waiting, we can, I know this is technically a sin, but we can add some dry ingredients to our mixture. So we're gonna add 3/4 of a cup of sugar, about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I'm using sea salt because I like the flavor better. And I do this, but maybe no other people do. I'm adding just a little bit of nutmeg, about 1/4 of a teaspoon. I like to have a little more of an earthy tone in with my chocolate, so just a little bit of that. Okay, and it looks like our chocolate is ready to be mixed with our margarine. So we're doing this about 2 tablespoons at a time, letting it melt in to help the mixture help melt on the chocolate. Make it nice and creamy. And so the recipe calls for 1/2 cup of water, but the texture of water doesn't usually help a cake very much. So in place of that, I'm using 1/2 cup of coconut chocolate milk. So it's coconut milk that is flavored with chocolate. It is beautiful and very rich. Okay. And we add just a hint of vanilla. So probably not even the full 1/4 of a teaspoon. You don't want too much overpowering your chocolate. Okay. And now to the stove. So once this is melted down, we're gonna let it cool for a minute before we add to the mixture because you don't want to cook the bananas with the heat just yet. You want those to bake in and let the proteins and the enzymes from the banana help the cake form in the oven during the heating process. So we're gonna keep adding our margarine slowly. Put in maybe 2 this time. Should probably get the paper off. Okay, so we have all of our margarine blocks in here now, waiting for them to melt down. Margarine takes a little bit longer to melt down than butter because it is essentially just another form of shortening in a lighter sense. So it's much thicker, and as a result, it doesn't melt down as well. But for our purposes, it is great because all of your vegan friends can enjoy this. So, alright, this is going to take a little longer. While I wait on this, I'll start chopping some strawberries that we're going to bake into the center of our cakes. I want to get some nice little fourths going here. We're not going to use like pieces like this. We'll save those later for when we candy some strawberries for the top. We want slices like this. Nice and thin. baked in the center. Give it just a little bit more texture. When you're at your store and you're looking for strawberries, just make sure that you check through them because, you know, we're just on the brink of strawberry season, so you don't want them to be too mushy or too dark yet. You want it to be a nice bright red. Even this one's a little bit, it's not even completely ripe, but that'll be great for our cake. It's going to be really sweet. Take our chocolate mixture off the stove, which is the chocolate and the margarine. Okay, we're going to let that cool for just like a minute. Fridge. You don't want it to congeal, you just want to get the temperature down before you mix that into the batter. So while we wait, we will kind of just start whipping our mixture that we have in here, the dry ingredients and the bananas and that chocolate coconut milk. I know it looks a little weird right now, but it'll be delicious and packed with flavor. Like you can even smell it. It smells beautiful. Like the aroma coming from just this wet mixture is astounding. Okay. We want to make sure you get as many of those chunks of bananas whipped out as possible because these aren't going to melt down in the cake at all. I mean, not that it's going to hurt the cake at all if you taste some extra banana, because it won't. But you definitely want to make sure they're as smooth as you can get them. Chocolate out of here. You want all that flavor. We're gonna whip that chocolate in. Woo! Oh, wow. If it's a little thin, you can just add a little more sugar. Not a lot. Eyeball it, make sure it's about like 2 tablespoons, not too much. I'm using silicone molds because they're cute and have various shapes. What we're doing is we're baking this in a water bath to accelerate the baking process since there's no flour involved. I love some chunks of bananas in because I like it that way. But if you don't, you could totally use a food processor to get all those bumps out, or a handheld mixer, something a little harder to carry onto a college campus. But obviously, if you have one at home, you can use that. Just filling these most of the way because they're really not going to rise too much. They don't have any baking powder or baking soda in them or anything like that, so they're probably not going to rise much at all, but that's okay. So now I'm just cleaning off the top of the mold, and we have it in our water bath. Make sure it's pretty centered. You don't want it to be too off-center or the baking will be off. You want the water pressure to hit it directly in the center. Just wiping this off a bit. It's not too messy when we take it out. Okay, center. All right. Oven preheated. Whoop. Had a spill. Okay. So we put that right in the oven. And once it's in, we're gonna turn the heat down to 300. Now, what we're doing is chopping these lovely corn tortillas, which are entirely gluten-free and vegan-friendly, so that we can fry up some homemade chips. It takes a lot less time than people would think, and they taste a lot better than store-bought chips. So they're also pretty cheap. I mean, we have like 100 tortillas here for the price of a bag of tortilla chips, like Tostitos or something. So you're saving a good amount of money too. It's pretty cost-effective. So I'm just gonna chop all these and get them prepped for being fried. So if you don't want to fry later, which most people don't, it's easy to take a big pan like a wok and find a frying strainer that you can use inside of it, made of all metal, which is what I am doing. I preheated the oil as hot as I could and turned it down to a 4 so that our chips don't burn. And I prepped a cookie sheet with a bunch of paper towels to catch all the oil after we're done, because we don't have a proper way to dispose of it like we would if we were to fry later. So I'm just separating some of these chopped tortilla chips. We're gonna dip them right in. If you need more oil, totally feel free to just crank up the heat a little bit. For cooking, I'm gonna go to town here. Alright, so we're gonna add our strawberries now that the mixture's been in for a little bit. Add time to kind of start heating. So you're gonna want to start by putting some olive oil on the bottom. About 2 tablespoons, eyeball it. If you don't trust yourself, then grab a measuring spoon of sorts. And just black beans, no marinade on them. You want them in their own juice because the marinades sometimes contain bacon, and that is not vegan friendly. So what we're gonna do with this juice though is strain most of it. Okay. Alright, we'll put that in here. This is something that's really easy, very healthy, very light. You can make any time of the week. Very cheap. I mean, a can of black beans is $1. A lime is like 50 cents. Cilantro is like $2. You know, it's very cheap, very cost friendly, and very earth friendly. So we got most of our beans out of here. All right. Okay. So we need 2 cloves of garlic for this recipe. So I'm gonna smash it like I would in Italian food because it makes it easier to process in our little mini processor we have here. These are also very cheap, they're like $20. Okay, put that into the mix. Okay. And you need a little bit of onion in this mixture too. I'll try to better make this. Just a quick dice. You don't really need all of that either, just most of it. more cilantro after. Just kind of squeeze around to make the juices flowing. I'll squeeze this juice right in here. It's a nice, pretty black bean color. No one calls it that, but I know it might not look that great, but it tastes really good, I promise. Okay, and after we're done making it, we're gonna add the salt and pepper last. So. I like a little more cilantro, that's me. And our black bean hummus is good. This one's a little too dark. Very light, very garlicky. But if it's too garlicky for your taste, you can squeeze some more fresh lime in there, add more fresh cilantro, whatever it takes to get the taste to where you like it.